Joanna Narvaez, welcome to the show.
Yes, hello.
How's your day going?
Very good, but a little challenging this morning.
Yeah, we were just talking about that, right?
Yeah.
Um, but just like every day, you handle the challenges and move
Exactly.
on. Yeah.
Exactly.
So your business, Bambino Pizza, um, it's kind of a cool backstory, like we were talking about before, like how you became a business owner of a restaurant.
Yeah.
So why don't we start there and
Yes.
talk about like how you got into this position today?
Yes. It's so I moved down here back in 2004 with my parents at the time when they were together. And in July. So they moved down here because of the weather up north. I'm from DC originally.
Okay.
And yeah, there was a mishap with my stepfather at the time. He fell ice. Um and he was like, I'm done with the snow. So we
Enough of
moved
this.
down here and we sold our house and we just he wanted to always open up a kind of like a garage, fixer upper kind of thing with cars because he's been into that kind of stuff his whole life. So my mom, as a supportive, partner, she said, "Yeah, sure, no problem." And he's like, "Let's move down south." So we decided Florida. And when he moved down here, I guess their location was Tampa. And he was just looking around for places, but he had a broker, obviously. And but they didn't find locations. This is back in 2004. They couldn't find locations like, like what's it called? Mechanic places
Yeah,
for
yeah.
sale. I was like,
They're available. Yeah.
exactly. And
And that's what that was he was passionate about cars and
exactly.
okay.
Yeah. And
And no business ownership
N
prior.
n no, he had.
Oh, okay,
He
okay,
had,
okay,
yeah, he had business ownership prior,
okay.
exactly. Um, but anywho, the we just ended up having he ended up going to Tampa Bay. He was looking in Tampa. He crossed the bridge, went to Tampa Bay, and long story short was that he had one last day here in, in Florida to visit and see any businesses. If there was no luck, then he had to go back. But I think he was just so desperate
Yeah.
that he just found Bambinos, but literally not with the broker. He was just driving by. And
Saw like a for sale sign.
exactly, a for
Wow.
sale sign. And he just drove by and he was like, okay. And he called up the broker and yeah, this is what's crazy. He didn't even go inside. He did not look what was inside the building.
Didn't care.
No, he didn't care. He was so desperate. He's like, I need this. He talked to the broker. Then they had an appointment. They went inside, but they didn't go inside. Like I something like that. And I think they weren't open, so they just went inside and looked through the entrance, but they didn't look everywhere. That's the thing. So he was like, "Okay, I'll take it." He had business experience before, just owning a business, but we had no, like,
Yeah.
family including had no restaurant business experience at all.
And so you guys are moving down here, no
Mhm.
jobs,
Yeah.
right, for the family. It's the job is the money coming in is from this business that you've
Mhm.
never been a part of before.
Yes, exactly.
Wow.
So, the family that owned Bambinos, they were the original owners.
Okay.
They were super nice, and they, had their son and I believe their daughter help us out with the restaurant for, like, the first 2
Oh,
months.
wow.
Yeah, they were very, very nice, and we did it, like and they taught us and they I think this is funny. They literally taught us how to make pizzas.
Yeah.
They taught us how to cook like, we knew how to cook pasta, but, pasta, like, Italian style, like, you had to learn all that stuff, it's not
Yeah.
easy,
Yeah, yeah.
and, yeah, so that was a really, interesting experience, and back then, I was 13. I was 13 years old.
And you were working in the restaurant?
Yeah, definitely, every morning and night let me grab that. Yeah, every morning at night. And then after school didn't start yet, but what happened was uh, we were still on vacation. And I'm from DC, so school doesn't start till like probably the end of August or the
Yeah.
beginning of September. And back then, school already is starting like the beginning of August.
Okay.
So it was July, and I'm thinking, oh my God, I'm gonna have so many weeks off. I'm gonna get a tan, blah, blah, blah. No, that didn't even happen. I was working all the time, and my parents pushed me there. And then finally, when it was like a week that my mom was saying, "Okay, just take this week off or whatever." I couldn't even do that because school was starting that
Yeah.
week.
Yeah.
And we just found out that school started that week. So,
So that was
yeah.
2004. So you guys
Mhm.
moved down, try to figure out this restaurant business.
Yes. Uh-huh.
And now, and then, so fast forward a little bit. And then when did you officially like take over, kind of running it all by yourself?
So, back in 2011, my mom got breast cancer
Mm.
and she was stage 3. So, and I think no, 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 I'm lying, sorry. It was 2009. I apologize
Hmm.
because I'm thinking my last year of high school. And I graduated that year, but that was one of the hardest years that I had to confront because the same time my stepfather decided to divorce my mom
Hmm.
for their personal reasons. And I was literally put on a pedestal of trying to manage school, trying to manage, literally, no joke, manage my parents' relationship at the time because
Hmm.
they're both owners of a restaurant and confront these employees
Hmm.
that, they've been running under both of them. So
And your mom is just found out she had breast cancer at that time
at
too.
that time, so then
Wow.
it literally took a year. And I think 2011, I think it took a while, yeah, to thinking about this, 2011, um, that's I think when they finalized, something like that.
Yeah.
And then 2012 in January, that's when I took it over. And I believe I was 20 at the time, 20 or 21. Somewhere around there. Yeah. And I was already dealing with a lot of stuff. So I that's when I took it over with my mom. So we bought out my stepfather. He is no
Hmm.
longer in the picture. And then yeah, and then life just exceeded and went highs and lows from there. But that was the year that was like, wow.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Full on
Full on
responsibility.
responsibility. It was
Yeah.
not the same as I was obviously when I was younger.
Yeah.
Yeah, cause this was more when I was younger, I was just doing, like I was at the front of the restaurant. I was answering phone calls, giving people their orders, just like a regular, host or
Yeah.
a front desk girl, you would say, and that was my responsibility. I also manage a lot just by, like, how delivery drivers did their thing, but after that, when my mom said, "Okay, you're gonna take it over, it's not as easy as you think it is. You're not doing the same thing." I didn't believe her. Duh. So,
Yeah,
um,
of course, you're 20 at that point, right?
yes, and
It's
then
like,
I was like, "Okay, okay, whatever." And then I literally saw so much responsibility just pile on me
yeah.
because it wasn't just, like managing employees. Some employees wanted to quit because they were splitting.
Oh,
It
yeah.
was so
Yeah.
much drama,
Yeah.
yeah, during that time. So I was just like, "Oh my God."
So a tough transition.
Oh, very, very
What
tough.
what did you ever have, and that's, I mean, so you like grew up in that business, in the restaurant. Did you
Mhm.
ever have, you know, um like what did you ever want to be like growing up? Like what are those thoughts that you had as a kid? Like this is what I want
Oh
to go to
my
school,
God.
or
Yeah.
is this something you've always wanted to
Oh,
do, or
thank you for asking. Oh yeah, I've had dreams. Right now I can't really think of it because it really kind of brushed off. But I did want to go to like another state for college. I
Mm-hmm.
really did. I just wanted to get away from here. I wanted to go to University of Maryland. Also, was my dream was to go to FIU down in Miami. I just wanted to get it far away from this area just to avoid, the restaurant industry. But I really honestly can't remember what
Yeah.
I wanted to do
Yeah.
because right now, it kind of changed
Right.
everything how I
Right.
see
Right.
now with the restaurant and etc. So yeah,
So how
I
has it changed?
how like how it changed like before I hated it and now I feel like it's blessed me from
Mm.
all like the knowledge that I've learned
Mm-hmm.
from owning this type of business.
Maybe because you were like pushing back, like at a younger age, like this isn't mine,
Exactly.
and then you accept it, kind of like
Exactly.
take ownership
Yeah.
in it,
Mhm.
take some
Yeah.
pride in it.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Uh-huh.
So so now you've had it since 2012, so 11 years now.
Mhm. Yeah.
Crazy.
Mhm.
Um, what are what's some of the biggest challenges of a restaurant? Because I feel like owning a
Mhm.
business is hard. Owning a
Mhm.
restaurant is another level.
Oh, yeah. No, I think there's about I can't really put how many numbers would be on it. I can't say like 5 things that are really hard
Yeah.
to own a restaurant. No. I think every restaurant's different, but I think the most challenging thing is um I would say time.
Managing time? Your
No,
time
time,
or
time, like your life, time, like um, just you're just always putting a lot of hours in the business,
mm,
kind of thing. Um, I envy, I really do envy people who have 9 to 5 schedules. I
yeah.
sometimes dream of that,
Yeah.
but um, then I look at it, I'm like, no, I'm very blessed to have my own business at the same time. But it's such a challenge. So I would say the very first thing are hours. What people don't understand is that if you want to own a restaurant, you have to put so much time and sacrifice in that business. I remember, and it's not just from me taking it over. I just remember when my parents took it over
Sure.
because I was there and I literally helped them out because out of love, but they worked their butts off from morning to night.
Mhm.
Um, Learning in the beginning, obviously, but thankfully we had a support system, which was family. And we still, meaning there were more hands in the business. If it were just like 2 people, I think I don't know, like, I really just don't know because
Yeah.
it's a restaurant, it's different than
Right.
just like a takeout place or etcetera. But, but what I'm thinking is, if you have a support system, you're able to move forward. Um, we literally sacrifice so much of our time and hours that, like I said, it was night and day. I remember them, you know, prepping and working. We didn't have cooks or anything like that. They're just
Mm,
prepping and cooking and all that stuff. And then at the end of the night, we were cleaning, you
yeah.
know? And also, you can't expect like a boom of business within like the first month of owning a business. That's not
Sure.
how it works.
Right.
Um, Especially a restaurant. You have to put a lot of work into it. You have to Back in the day, it was a word of mouth.
Yeah.
It wasn't anything with social media or even Yelp and TripAdvisor or Google reviews
Google,
never
yeah.
actually, no, Google reviews did exist. I'm lying. But but Yelp and TripAdvisor or things that give review of restaurants, they didn't exist before. So, it was always a word of mouth, and we had such wonderful, wonderful, I'm telling you, wonderful support, you know, from our customers that helped us out. They were like, "Oh my god, best pizza in town," or
Mhm.
etcetera, and they
Mhm.
literally spread it to their friends,
Yeah.
to the other friends, to family members, and we got so busy, and I think it had to do also that it was, my parents running at the time with a young daughter
Yeah.
that probably went to school with some of these kids that,
Uh,
something like that. But it helped a lot. And
they could just connect with you, like,
exactly.
yeah.
Yeah.
And like we were talking about before, right? Like that's,
Mhm.
kind of the idea behind the podcast, right? Is introducing like the business owner because that's how we
Mhm.
connect with the business at the end of the
Exactly.
day, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mhm.
It's all relationship based and
Exactly.
yeah.
Yeah.
So time, so let's circle back to that. So managing your time, like that's challenging in a restaurant,
Mhm.
right? How did you how did you kind of overcome that or find balance for yourself?
Yeah.
I think that's the hard,
Yes.
out of the conversations we have on the
Mhm.
podcast, time management comes up a lot
Oh,
as a
yes.
challenge,
Mhm.
because it's great, you're not working 9 to 5, or you have this freedom in your schedule, so that's great, but it's also you have this freedom in your schedule, so it's difficult, right? You can easily
You
work
totally get it, yeah.
80
Yeah,
hours
exactly.
and be like, "Whoa, what the heck? What am I
Yeah,
doing?"
yeah, yeah, it's so true. Like, you can get out anytime you want, that's the
Right.
freedom,
Right.
but you're always in it no matter what. With the business, you're always on call, you're always,
Yeah.
you're always there in your head, you're always there at the business, so but yeah, um, time, I literally when I was a kid, I hated it, obviously, also, seeing my parents always at the store and barely seeing them
Mm,
was also another thing that I've noticed.
mm,
And I personally, I actually enjoyed going to the restaurant because I was surrounded by people.
mm, mhm.
You would get lonely at home at times.
Sure.
So I didn't care going to work when I was a kid
Yeah.
because I was with people, with staff, with my parents, whatever.
Yeah.
And but anywho, uh yeah, and I got accustomed to it. I did. And it's people it kind of fathoms me because I kind of just don't get it that like people don't understand my lifestyle. I mean like some of my friends are like, "Oh my god, you work from like 10 a.m. all the way to 11 p.m. sometimes?" Like that's yeah, and I count it. I'm like, "Yeah, it's 14 hours." I'm like, "But you honestly, we're not really I would say I'm not really working all those hours,
Yeah.
but, you're still working." And I got so used to it throughout, like, probably 10 years or 11 years having the restaurant that it's become a habit.
Yeah. That's the norm for you.
Mhm. It's
Yep.
so normal.
Yeah.
It's so normal.
So do you
So
wanna change that at all? Like, do you is your goal to, maybe step away from different parts of the business and have people in place,
mhm.
or have you done that already?
No, I haven't. I've
Yeah.
done that before. Um, I it just depends right now on money, time,
Yeah.
and, yeah, just seeing I honestly my mom is about to retire soon, so that's what's in my head, and,
And she still
um,
works in the business too? Yeah.
it's not that I want her to work,
Yeah.
and it's not that I don't want her to work, like, I don't want her to work and I do want her to work, it's not that, it's she said that she needs to do something,
Yeah.
she's so used to
Yeah,
it,
yeah, yeah.
just like me,
Yeah.
but even before, like, I was even born, she's working, but it's just like she's like, "No, I'm not gonna be sitting around doing nothing. I wanna be at the restaurant."
Yeah.
And if she finds something to do, she will do something. But
Yeah.
no, she's also stubborn. So if I tell her, "Mom, can you please go home?" Yeah, she sticks around for the 2 more
Yeah,
hours.
yeah,
Like the staff and I can like we can handle it, and she's like, "Okay."
yeah.
And then she just sticks around like, "What are you still doing here?"
Yeah.
Yeah.
So just like you probably get that from her, right? Just being around the business, like
Yeah, I
being
guess
in
so.
yeah,
No, I'm a little opposite. I actually wanna leave
yeah. Yeah.
sometimes. Yeah, I'm like, "I
You
wanna go."
you
But
need
no,
a
she
break.
wants to stay. Yeah.
So let's
Mhm.
talk about like the like managing the staff,
Mhm.
and I know like during COVID, like that was a big issue, staffing and stuff for some businesses, especially the small businesses. Um, but uh, like what's it like managing, being a leader of a business like that and kind of like leading your staff to make sure the business runs the way you want it to run?
Yes. So that's a great question. I learned a lot about myself. I also learned a lot about how to manage, especially a business. I think business in general, but a restaurant is when I was younger, when I had to take over, I had no idea how to manage
Yeah.
employees, really, honest to God. And I had basically the mentor of my parents, basically, right?
Yeah.
Like, they
Yeah.
were
Yeah.
the representatives of how to, like, manage the employees,
Sure.
but they weren't that great at it. That's to be honest. So, in the beginning, it was very hard
Yeah.
because we did have staff, but most of the staff were a lot older than me. And they
Mm,
did not wanna take orders, and I wasn't ordering them like basically a Hitler, like, "Do this, do this, do this." No, it was, I would be scared to tell the staff members, "Hey, like, could you please, do s" if they're not doing what they're supposed to do, you know?
yeah.
Some of them did. They just did what they were doing. I didn't even have to say anything.
Yeah.
But I've I was teaching myself and instructing myself how to talk and how to handle difficult situations.
How did you figure that out? Is it just trial and error? Like, oh, this is working.
Yeah,
Okay.
it was a
Yeah.
lot of trial and error. Also, thankfully, there was YouTube,
Mm,
and then I Googled it, YouTubed it, and I was taking a lot of knowledge, and I'm like, okay, okay. And sometimes it gives me a lot of anxiety because I think I'm always doing something wrong,
mhm.
always.
Mhm.
And but yeah, it was a lot of trial and error. It was I've the number one thing that I told myself that I didn't want, and I didn't want staff members who are under the influence of
Oh,
anything.
yeah, right.
It
Yeah.
was kind of hard because in the restaurant industry, there's a lot of alcoholics, drug addicts that we may not know of,
Yeah.
and etc. And I realized that those type of employees, some of them were under, my parents, and they never came into work on time. They're all it's you learn a lot from their experiences and from watching it. So
Mhm.
I told myself I don't want that.
Mhm.
So we had delivery drivers that were high school and college age kids, and I looked at that and I said that's what I want. And because and it's also the attitude, and you see the kids how they've also been brought up, like,
Mhm.
just how they carry themselves basically, right? So, that's what I've realized that that's what I wanted because they're, um, they're energetic, they wanna come into work,
Yeah.
and etcetera.
Motivated.
Exactly.
So what is, if you had to say like a tip that you've learned or something like to help, like another business owner or somebody else like manage people, like what's one thing that you think is like most valuable when it comes to leading a team of people?
Um, I think just respect,
Yeah.
I really do.
Respecting the other
The
person.
employees,
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
because they're humans.
Mm,
And also I know that I'm their boss, but I try to get like on their level, like of what they're like. I like as a boss, I like to understand what my staff, like what their life is going on. Cause I can't just be, hey, you're gonna prep this or you're gonna do deliveries. And like I need to know like how are you doing?
mhm.
Because if they come into work, like, let's just say they just got broken up with, they're
Right,
gonna
right.
come into work distraught.
Right.
Even though there's a rule of putting work and personal life separate, it's
It's hard to
always
do
gonna
that sometimes.
interfere.
Yeah.
I mean, they're humans.
Yeah.
So and it's best to, like, be basically, like I said, like, on their level You know that you're their boss. They know that you're their boss,
Yep.
but you have to understand that
They're
we're
people.
all yeah,
So
exactly.
going back to like what we were talking about before, relationships, right? Like,
Mhm.
it goes even with your staff, like it's all about relationships, it's all about connecting with the people.
Exactly.
Yeah, I like that. Um, so one question I like to wrap up with and is when you're not working, when you're not in the restaurant, if you had one place to go visit, it could be another business, like, if you're like, you need a break and, what is Joanna gonna do? Is she gonna go to this business or this park or whatever? Like, where are you going?
Um, uh, I would love to see my friends.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, 'cause
Do you have a favorite spot that you like to go hang out at?
no,
Yeah,
I think
just
it's
seeing your
just
friends.
catching up with friends.
Yeah, that's
Catching
cool.
up with friends. I love my girlfriends, so
Yeah.
it's just seeing them and just like yeah, it's just they're so supportive and also it just basically you're like far away from the business. You don't have to think about it, you
Yeah,
know?
yeah,
And then just having a good girl time. So
yeah.
yeah. But yeah, there's no particular place. I think just being with the people that you care about is
Mm,
where it's at.
yeah, I like that.
Mhm.
So it could be anywhere.
Yeah, it can be anywhere.
Cool. So where's for the people that don't know about Bambino's Pizza, where
Mhm.
is it located?
So we're in Dunedin
Yep.
and we're off of Alternate 19, right next to a Mexican restaurant and kind of like across from the golf course right there.
Oh, perfect. Yep.
Yeah, so we're in between Curlew Road and Michigan Boulevard.
Yep.
Mhm.
On the west side of 19, right? Like the water side.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes, yes,
Uh,
uh-huh.
cool.
Yeah, we're really close to the water, so it's nice. We're really close to the beach too.
Yeah, which is
Mhm.
cool. So go check them out.
Yes,
Say
please
hi to
do.
Joanna. I'm sure you'll be
Yeah.
there,
Yep,
right?
of course I will be there.
Yep.
Mhm.
And thank you so much for being
Yeah.
here.
Thank you, Donnie. I appreciate it.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is fun.